Welcome back, everyone. Today, upon suggestion and request of such a topic from my Tera friends, today's video is going to be about Tera and PvE dungeon etiquette. And we're going to kick this video off with talking about crystals and consumables. Now, you might be asking, how do crystals and consumables have to do with dungeon etiquette? And you'll see. If you are running the improper crystals, or if you are not using all of the consumables that you should be, you are not doing as much damage as you could be, and therefore you are wasting other people's time, which is disrespectful. So I'm gonna try to keep this part short and precise. So starting off with the crystals, I'm gonna make this real fucking simple for y'all. If you are a melee DPS, you're going to need a pounding, a bitter, focused, and a savage weapon crystal. Those are the 4 weapon crystals that you should be wearing. If you are a ranged DPS, you should be wearing a pounding, a spiteful, a focused, and a savage. If you are a tank, you should be wearing 2 pounding crystals, a wrathful, and a focused. And it's also advisable that you carry an aggro crystal as like a backup in case you get put into a group with significantly higher item level than you. Then you're gonna need that. Like, there's no shame. No amount of skill can cover a gap, depending on like how big the item level gap is. At some points, it's just impossible. So I don't know. You can do it, or you can choose not to run an aggro crystal. Whatever. Not my problem. Healers need to be running a swift and a carving, and then healers get to choose 2 other weapon crystals of whatever the fuck they feel like, because they don't really matter. Because the only options left are going to be damage related crystals, and healers don't really do damage and they're focused on other stuff, so it doesn't really matter. Just pick whatever you feel like. On the blue crystals, all classes, tanks, healers, and DPS should all be running 4 hardies across the board. No argument there. That is how it is. And for green crystals, typically people are going to be running powerful, or I forget the name of them, but the crit factor virus. 'Cause the green ones that either increase power or crit factor, and they use those to kind of, like fill in their builds, their statistics for their class builds or whatever. Those are the most common greens. Um, if you have like less than 50 ping, you can look into attack speed crystals, but if you have anything higher than like 50 ping on this game, then you shouldn't even consider attack speed crystals. It's not going to be worth it for you. Just go with like power or crit factor. That's for like healers and tanks though. Um, sorry. DPS and tanks. Healers get a little bit more variety because they can either choose like grounding, or I believe they're called succoring, the ones that increase healing skills. You can choose either or. You're still going to be, you'll be effective either way. So, some people prefer to build their healer a little bit tankier. Some people like to stack their heals. Personal preference, so healers have a small option there. And that's a quick rundown of the crystals, And next, we're going to get into the consumables. And again, if you're not running the proper consumables, then you are wasting people's time. So we're going to start off with the most basic of the consumables, and that is the Prime Battle Solution. The Prime Battle Solution, you should never, ever, 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 ever go into a dungeon without it. The game is designed to where if you don't have a battle solution on and you're in a dungeon, your character literally like will not function. Like you can't really do anything if you don't have one on. Um, I don't understand why they didn't just build all the effects that the battle solution gives into the characters, because it doesn't really make sense to have to go through the trouble of like consuming it, especially since they're like either dirt cheap, or if you're elite they're free. So like, it don't really make sense to me, but it is what it is. Like you don't have a choice. If you don't have a battle solution on, you might as well not exist. Like just leave the group, do everybody a favor, just fucking leave. Uh, yeah, you're a waste of time. Next up on the consumable list is going to be the bravery potions, bravery filters. It has like 10 different names, and they all do the same fucking thing, which is increased damage by 12% and decreased damage received by 10%. Now these are a little bit different because they take a lot of effort to get. The easiest way to get them is going to be through completing 16 vanguards for your weekly mission. Um, Other than there are some other methods to get those. You know, that's not really what this video is about. I'm just telling you about the consumables themselves. Because because bravery potions are harder to get. For new players, it's understandable for you to save those, except for like reserve them for higher level dungeons. Like if you're just starting the game out and your item level like 439, 441, you know, and then you like hit Stormcry, so you become like item level 448, and you unlock those higher dungeons, then keep your bravery potions for just those 448 dungeons and don't use them in the 439s. You know, the lower dungeons you can do that are easier. If you have a limited supply, which most people do, um, it's okay to kind of save them for the higher end if you're short-handed. Like if you have a 9 to 5 job and you only get like 2 hours a weeknight and one day on a weekend to play, your bravery supply is going to be low, like almost all the time. So it is okay to save those for higher level dungeons. But if you are doing a higher level dungeon, and this is not from my perspective or a news perspective, a higher level dungeon is like anything on the higher end of the spectrum that you have access to, at least the halfway point, you know. Please, if you're doing a harder dungeon, please use a bravery. Please, 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 please. If you're not, you're doing less damage, and you know stuff hurts a lot more. So if you're learning it, it can help. Um, you know, so bravery's a little bit of leeway. I don't expect people to use them in like really low dungeons, but like 448s and higher, I would expect people to have a bravery on. And then we get to Noctanium Infusions. There's a couple different kinds of Noctanium Infusions. The ones I'm displaying on the screen are going to be blue ones. There are also regular ones. There's some that are just called Noctanium Infusions, and there's some that are called Friendly. And those have the same effects. The only difference is the friendly ones are like not tradable. Like you can't sell those on broker. You can just bank them. Um, and then if you have Alliance Noctanium Infusions, then those ones aren't even bankable. Like you have to use them on that character or delete them, one of the two. Um, the Noctinium Infusions by themselves, the regular ones, all they do is increase the Noctinium effects, which you can read the Noctinium effects for your skills in the skill descriptions. That's for you to do. Um, the blue Noctinium Infusions, there's three different levels of them. There's the uncommon, the rare, and the superior. The difference between those is just the time limit, like the duration that they last. But the difference between the effects between the blue ones and the regular ones is that the blue ones increase the Noctinium effect by an additional 50% for, whatever that means, however that applies to your skill. And they increase your damage from a range of 4 to 12%. Like it's kind of an RNG thing. Like you're going to get at least 4% extra damage, but it could be RNG all the way up to 12% damage depending on, just your luck, I guess. You could have one skill hit for 4% extra damage, and the skill that you cast right after that could hit for 12% extra damage. It's kind of random. So if you're constantly running blue Noctinium Infusions, you're gonna see your numbers kind of fluctuating even when you're using the same skill over and over. You'll still see different numbers just because of that RNG. But either way, it is a damage increase. For food buffs, that's really for like tryhards or at least like static groups and stuff. If you're running by yourself, you're running LFGs, instance matching, don't worry about food buffs. You're not expected to bring food buffs. That's kind of like for more tryhards, or at least for like friend groups that you're dedicated to and that people actually work together and stuff on. So for new players, don't worry about food buffs. As far as dungeon etiquette itself goes, this is going to pertain more so to new players. Um, the thing that I see happen the most is people do not let the tank pull first. The tank is always the first person that goes into the fight. Everybody has to let the tank go in first, and the tank has to touch the boss before you touch the boss. If you're a DPS, or even if you're a healer, because sometimes I see healers cast their buffs and stuff before, like the tank will take off, and then the healer will cast a skill, and the skill will, get to the boss before the tank does. You need to let the tank run out there, and the tank needs to hit the boss before you touch that boss. The tank needs to be the first one to touch the boss. Otherwise, he's going to, spin, blah, 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 chase the DPS, chase the healer. It's going to be a clusterfuck that could have been completely avoided if people would have, been patient for literally half a second longer. The tank always goes in first. Now, the tank should never, ever go in until everybody is present, until the healer has buffed everybody, and this is more like a newer thing since they added emotes. I've noticed that, like, when I'm in instance matching or LFGs, tanks will often use the get ready emote to kind of like let everybody know, hey, I'm about to go. Or if you want to be like 100% sure, you can even type in chat, ask the people in your group, hey, are y'all ready? They'll probably wiggle around or jump or something, and then you can go. So the tanks need to wait for the healer, need to wait for the rest of the group, and they need to make sure everybody's there before they pull. DPS, honestly, you kind of just wait for the tank and the healer. And as far as waiting goes, that brings me to the next thing. If you are instance matching, then do not. I can understand going AFK, but do not go AFK to the point to where like you can't even see your screen, or you go to the bath. Like don't instance match and then go to the bathroom or something, because you could get put into a group like 2 seconds after you walk out the door, and so then the group is waiting on you for like 5-10 minutes plus, or worst case scenario, they get tired of waiting on you and they kick you, and you have to start the process all over. That's wasting their time, that's wasting your time. You need to respect other people's time. Like when you go into a dungeon, or you try to go into a dungeon, you need to be ready. Like you need to have used the bathroom. If you want a drink, you need to already have a drink next to you. If you want food, you need to already have a snack next to you. Like, do not waste people's time. Like, you are wasting other people's time if you have to leave in the middle of a dungeon to go get something. If they have to wait on you before they start the dungeon, because of your AFK or whatever. Like, respect other people's time and be prepared. Like, actually be prepared when you go into a dungeon. When you are learning a dungeon, like if you reach a new threshold in your item level and you unlock some new dungeons and you don't know how to do them, first of all, I would highly recommend and encourage y'all to go try and look up on YouTube for like some dungeon guides on said dungeon. I know my friends keep telling me that I should do dungeon guides. I haven't really gotten around to it yet. I don't really feel like it. I haven't had enough people tell me that I should do it yet, I guess. I don't know. Blah 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 blah. Anyway, you need to look at a dungeon guide before you go in there. That way you have like a rough idea of what you're getting yourself into, what to expect, what to be looking for. Secondly, if you are new to a dungeon, you're trying to learn it, do not instance match it. for the love of God, do not instance match it. Unless you just like have absolutely no one. If your friends list says 0 people online, then fine, instance match it. But if you can, now this isn't gonna work if you're playing like earlier in the day because people usually get on in the evening. But if you can, I highly recommend LFGing, like looking for a group for um for a dungeon that you're new to. And I'm gonna be honest, if you put rookie on your LFG description, nobody's gonna join you. Um, and honestly, if you made the LFG yourself, nobody's probably gonna join you because they're gonna see your item level and they're not gonna like it. Blah 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 blah. The best thing for you to do if you're trying to learn a new dungeon is to look in LFG and see if there's a group up there, and then like apply to it and see if they accept you. If they do accept you, then the first thing you need to do is type in chat and say, "Hey, I'm new. Are y'all okay with me learning?" or something along those lines. Like, make it be known that you are new. If they're not okay with it, then just say, "Okay, I understand." Leave. Go look for a different group. I had a friend a long time ago. He doesn't play anymore, but that's how he learned the really hard dungeons was, and he learned them pretty fast too. It's because sometimes we all got on late, so he got off earlier than we did, and in his free time when we weren't home yet, he would just join tons of groups, tons and tons and tons of groups. And the first thing that he'd do, say, "Hey, I'm new. Are y'all cool with this?" And if they said no, then he was okay with it. He understood that some people don't want to teach new people, or they don't want to deal with it, or because even I'm the same way. If I've had a long day, I don't want to come home and then like spend an hour wiping on a boss because somebody doesn't know how to do the mechanics. Sometimes I just want to get in and get out. So he understood, and if they told him they weren't cool with it, he's like, "All right, cool, I understand," and he'd dip out, and then he would go just look for another group until he found one that was okay with it. And he would do reps. He would go in there and he would die over and over and over and over and over until he learned it. But the main thing is making sure that the other people in your group are okay with it, or that they're aware that you are new. A lot of my friends are we get called elitists and stuff because I guess because people feel that we're rude to them. Honestly, it's just because we state facts. Like when people are bad, we tell them they're bad and stuff. Uh, and we don't say people are bad if we don't know that for a fact because we know what we're talking about. I'll probably get blasted for that, saying that on the internet, but I don't fucking care. The truth of the matter is, honestly, we don't mind helping new people. But the most common complaint I hear from my higher level friends is that people don't tell them that they are new. I hear it all the time in our party chats is, "Man, if he would have said that he was new, I would have helped him, but he didn't say anything and then we just wiped over and over and it pissed me off and I didn't want to do anything." Um, Even for me personally, there were countless times where I was interacting with a new person and my experience was 100% negative because he didn't tell me I was new. So I had higher expectations of him and I was displeased when things didn't go the way I expected them to. If he would have said, or if they would have said they were new from the start, I would have lowered my expectations. I probably would have given them some tips. I would have been like, "Okay, this is what you do here. We're going to do this and that, and blah, 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 blah." What honestly, me and my friends are willing to help people, but, people have to be willing to receive the help, and, they have to have a hands-on approach. Like some people in this game, I don't know what it is about this game, but a lot of people like expect stuff to be given to them. They expect class builds to be given to them. They expect, you know, gear to be given to them. They expect to get carried through dungeons. You know, they expect stuff without giving anything in return. We only help people that show that they really want to get better, and they're putting in the effort to try and learn and stuff. And if you're trying hard and you're respecting other people's time, respecting our time, if you let it be known beforehand that you're new, more than likely we would help you. And I would imagine that a majority of the community would also help you, because majority of the community is not as strict and picky as my group is. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. Like, we're pretty picky compared to the overall community, but if we find the right types of people, we'll still help them. So there is that. And I think that's it for this video. If y'all have any ideas as to something I might have left out, if you're an experienced player, or any like details some of you new players want to know, just hit me up on Discord or leave a comment, and I will respond to that. So thank you for your time.
Hide and seek, reason and rhyme, grand and glorious, living the dream.